Another fire in Port Moresby destroys a storeroom. Landowners place symbolic plants at Lihir Mine Site. And hundreds ride bicycle to celebrate Queen's birthday.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Monday's news. An electrical engineering company has suffered an untimely loss in the hundreds of thousands of kina when its equipment storeroom caught on fire early this morning. The fire started at around 7 o'clock in the morning at the LTEC residence located on Maho Street in Baroka.
Tenants at the residence, including women and children, said they were awoken by the sounds of minor explosions and found the shed behind the main resident building engulfed in flames. LTEC head of maintenance, Natoy Gonzalez, who was at the scene, said the fire brigade arrived soon after and put out the fire. Fortunately, no one was injured.
About 7:20 in the morning, the lady here is sleeping here. Then I heard the fire on the backside of that one. And at the same time, in very fast, he said the fire become bigger at once.
The equipment lost to the fire include UPS batteries, welding machines, 2 industrial generators, industrial cables and other project materials belonging to LTEC and its sister company Powercom. The 2 Filipino-owned companies specialize in electrical power engineering and are currently under contract to carry out major electrical works in the country. Most of the materials stored in the shed were designated for already secured contracts. The exact cost of machinery and materials lost in the fire cannot be established until management has consulted with its insurance company. However, it is estimated to amount to more than 100,000 kina.
And we'll see. It's coming a few days. What will happen? Will be the assessment of this one. The value, I don't know.
Although the company is yet to find out how the fire started, the PNG Fire Service will be investigating the incident to establish the cause. Meanwhile, in addressing the increase of fires experienced in the country this year, PNG Fire Service Chief Fire Officer Isaac Silas said in a conference last week that tenants must be more responsible in making sure old buildings are fire resistant and safe to use.
But generally, the fires that have happened in Leh, fires that have happened in Port Moresby and other provinces like East New Britain, Western Highlands and Eastern Highlands, those the lessons that we've learned from that is that those are fairly old buildings. A lot of them are fairly old buildings.
Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Aggrieved landowners from the Lihir mining area in the New Ireland province placed traditional symbolic plants, locally known as gorgor, around the Lihir gold mine site on Saturday, indicating discontent and effectively bringing operations to a halt. They want resolutions to what they feel are 4 outstanding key issues, including the Integrated Benefits Package Agreement and an outstanding MOU. Chairman of the Lihir Mining Area Landowners Association, James Laketan, clarified that the placement of the gorgor is the Lihirian way of peacefully saying there is a dispute and all stakeholders need to talk and resolve issues.
Members of the Lihir Mining Area Landowners Association, Limala, and the Nimamar local level government showed their grievances by tying the symbolic plants around the mine site, calling for a dialogue with operator Newcrest.
The placement of gorgor in the mine impact areas is the initiative of Lihir Mining Area Landowners Association and Nimamar local level government. The placement of gorgor is on the 4 key issues.
The issues include 2 key agreements, the Integrated Benefits Package Agreement and an MOU, tendering of Lihirian businesses, and environmental concerns. Chairman of Lamala, James Laketan, said they want Newcrest and the Nimamar LLG at a round table for a dialogue.
To discuss and negotiate effectively to address the issues. This will give our people the satisfaction to see the implementation and the delivery on all those issues.
And in the latest news, the gorgors were removed by members of a visiting police mobile unit from East New Britain. Mr. Lakatan also said the Chief Executive Officer of the Mineral Resources Authority, Philip Sama, had written a letter labeling the Gorgor placement as illegal. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
2 surgical doctors from Madang's Modelon Hospital are assisting police to find their kidnappers. The doctors were kidnapped 3 days ago, had their vehicles stolen and were about to be killed at a remote location but managed to escape. When MTV's Madang-based journalist Rachel Shise filed this report, Madang police had identified and were about to arrest a suspect believed to be the driver of the vehicle.
Have identified a suspect involved in the kidnapping of the 2 Modelon surgical doctors. The driver is believed to be the driver of the vehicle involved in the kidnapping. Police are now appealing to the public for more information. 3 days ago, 2 Modelon doctors were kidnapped at Madang's Kalibobo Lighthouse at 6 p.m. after work. They were held up at gunpoint before their legs and hands were tied to their backs. 6 men took them from Kalibobo before they picked another 3 to make 9. The doctors were taken into thickets within Erima, a growing settlement area in Madang. The reason for the kidnapping is yet unknown, but the doctor's vehicle was used to rob the service station along the Modelon Road. On Saturday, the doctors told MTV that the 9 men spoke of killing them casually before they managed to escape. One doctor said he managed to escape by dislocating bones in his wrist and freed himself from bush vines used to tie his hands. The other doctor escaped with a gash on his back after he moved into a knife being swung that cut him loose. The hospital doors have remained closed for 3 days now, with only emergency cases attended to. The hospital board's management says the hospital may be opened on Wednesday, but that's yet to be confirmed. The hospital is also appealing to the public to help police supply information to catch the suspects. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
National EMTV News continues after the break with more local stories. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with the news. More than 200 bicycle riders took part in what has turned out to be the biggest Queen's Birthday celebration in East New Britain province. Men, women and children took on a 30-kilometre bike race from Kokopo to Rabaul. Those who watched along the roadside say it is the biggest event in many years. MTV's Edwin Fidelis has more on this story from Kokopo.
By 7 a.m. this morning, riders have already begun gearing up to endure the 30 kilometers journey from Kokopo to Rabaul. Some came to Kokopo as early as 5 a.m. in the morning from various parts of East New Britain. The event brought together people from all over East New Britain province. Men, women and children battle in their respective categories for the top spot to beg prizes.
1,000 kina.
By 9 a.m., the race began at Kokopo's Kalabon Oval and the riders cycled through the center of town. Traffic came to a standstill for at least 4 hours as they made their way through the main Kokopo-Rabaul road. By midday, the first lot of riders arrived in Rabaul as they made their way for the finish line at Rabaul Hotel. Along the roadsides were evidence of empty cartons of water that were consumed during the race. For the major sponsor, Pacific Industries, there were no regrets.
We put this event on, it gets better and better, and I can assure you next year will be even better again.
Such event is not new to East New Britain province. Over the last 2 years, the Rabaul's Pacific Industries has organized the event after realizing that there weren't any major celebrations held to commemorate the Queen's birthday, and to a large extent, it relies on community participation to make such event a success. For those riders who didn't win the race say this wasn't the end. They will try again next year. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Moresby Province is fast becoming a leader in community-driven cooperative movements. The Lower Watut Cocoa Cooperative is on a path to getting a cocoa export license, which will enable its 16 cluster groups to fetch a higher price for their cocoa. Already, Watut cocoa is being used in organic chocolates overseas in a global health-conscious niche market. In this special report, we look at where that high-quality cocoa comes from.
This is the magic of the Watut, a river highway not as prominent as the Sepik or the Fly, but still home to thousands of people who depend on it for food, water and transportation. The river is beautiful in its own right. It is also home to the biggest community-driven, community-owned organic cocoa cooperative in the Moresby province. About 40 minutes from a river turnoff from the Markham into the Watut, we arrive at Tsiats village, the first of 16 cluster groups in the Lower Watut Cocoa Cooperative.
First time mi play bin ino bin planum kakao emo se mi play bin di boy. Second na sik bin bagar bin boy na mi play stop I think 3 years something.
Since 2010, Esric Tobias and his people have come to know the value of cocoa. For them, cocoa is a reliable income source that gives them the means to buy building materials and to pay for fuel and transportation.
Em ko din mis platform na mission up tu pla drive bag misai kisim. Na this pla money mixim em long long transport na marasin na all tools long garden now mi work lo usim stop. Na ap money em long help him all work long church or work long fermentary or work long one cooperative suppose ka me misai ko insai one na begin to work.
Cocoa is slowly transforming lives, giving people in this region financial muscle they never had before. Another 3 hours upriver, we arrive at Tsili Tsili village. This is the heart of the Lower Watut Cocoa Cooperative. Each cluster group now owns a cocoa fermentary and each has the ability to make at least 30,000 kina every 3 months.
You know, also boil before. And big impact because cash money mi black chimia, mi black no go out na chim lab, no got money sa come na by more simple man lo place. So they got enough money lo, spending na budget na they can buy anything they want. Because you say money you me go chim lab em lo before lo time lo boy. Lo kakao money come get lo house line.
From small village economies previously dependent on buai sale, Tsiats and Tsili Tsili are now key players in a global niche market that demands high-quality organic cocoa for chocolates.
Me play like him, people-driven development, long place.
A key player in the cooperative movement in the Lower Watut region is Michael Toliman, who was featured in a previous story about the Neknasi Coffee Cooperative in the Boana area of Moresby. Using the Neknasi experience, Michael and a small team are drawing cocoa, coffee and rice cooperatives together to share management and technical expertise.
All samples long here, all buyers overseas, work long request him. Me play bin salim sample long sample buyers from Singapore. Na sample two all bin salim ko Cocoa Expo long Switzerland. Na emi come up him all sem excellent chocolate, na perfect chocolate. Antap longen cocoa liquor, only call him also world-class cocoa liquor, and we come from this area of Watut.
While this place has become internationally recognized, the challenges remain. After 40 years, there are no roads linking Tsili Tsili, Tsiats and the 16 cluster communities to Leh City, the provincial capital.
So me play like him was Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. I'm now come down and look him how me play one man me play like him through say at least me play like a road. Lo put him make him this marketing do me play mas very easy and accessible.
There's no dispute over the fact that cooperatives are growing in the Moresby province and each have their own story to tell. The Neknasi in Boana bought vehicles and built their own roads to transport the coffee from Boana to Leh. The Youth Coffee Cooperative in Kabum, despite its isolation and lack of roads, is still hitting the international markets with its premier coffee brands. And rice farmers in Markham have proven that we don't really need to import rice from Australia. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Leh.
The shutdown of Moran gas fields in Hela province yesterday comes after the state failed to effect resolutions in a stakeholder meeting held on the 22nd of April 2015. Chairman Pape Punga says government's inconsistency in processing benefits and lack of consultation has caused disruption to the project. Chairman Punga says the project is an agreement signed by all stakeholders and the government needs to sort out its differences.
Representing Moran's PDL2 and 5 communities, Homa Power Chairman Pape Punga said the Moran gas fields has seen its twists and turns by government bureaucracy over issues. Chairman Puga said 6 issues were petitioned and discussed by relevant state agencies, government departments and landowners, but again resolutions were not fulfilled.
5 million me making more sense. Mila what I'm going to talking people. Law, color, welfare. Now all Belahad Lotisla or Milba passing.
2 key agendas of concern for these resource owners are the 45% Moran PDL2 royalty benefits and the 35 million Moran MOA payments.
People. And must come back to place. No, no money blow you also. You come back to place, money you put him inside the MRTC. Put him in the MRTC now. You must go to place, now talking people.
The landowners have shut down the Moran operations and demanded explanations from government authorities.
All department and good law facilitate the meetings, that's all. Failure now stop long and stop on long Department of Petroleum and Energy. Liaise one time all landowners.
The landowners say the developers are not to be blamed and called on the Petroleum and Energy Department to perform its duties.
Department of Petroleum and Energy, we all work or all in a work.
Joint forces are monitoring the project site with no casualties reported so far. The resource owners say the Moran fields will remain closed if nothing is done. Jack Lapava Jr. National MTV News.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's office has denied a possible shutdown but says there are threats. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill will make a formal statement this week. Security forces are in negotiation with landowners in Moran. Stay tuned. You're watching National MTV News. We'll bring you more local reports after these short messages. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National MTV News. Officer in charge of the Koki and Sabama police post in the Moresby South electorate was attacked by members of the MS1 mobile squad this afternoon. The mobile squad members suspected Constable Kerry Kaman of smuggling betel nuts into Koki Market. The allegation and his attack have not gone well with local vendors and the Wanigela community.
Constable Kamen was confronted by 2 police vehicles used by members of the MS1 mobile squad at 1 this afternoon. The mobile squad officers suspected Constable Kamen of being involved in the smuggling of betel nut. He was beaten up and ordered to drive to Burko police station. Along the way, at Badili roundabout, the mobile squad opened fire at his vehicle but missed him. 3 policemen in one of the vehicles with guns ordered him out of the vehicle, manhandled him into the mobile squad vehicle and drove to Burko police station. No charges were laid against him.
They accused me by saying I am a smuggler, a boy smuggler, and they assaulted me in front of my own community without due respect. As a policeman, as a professional policeman, and as a OIC in my own area, the mobile squad, without respect, they came and they attacked me, they assaulted me, they insulted me. They treated me like a criminal, a notorious criminal.
The incident has not gone down well with local people and the vendors.
The hierarchies responsible police commissioner and investigation team do investigation on these guys, the MS1, arrest them, and they must face the law.
We don't want any problems like open fire, no working nothing. We are fully secure here.
So when something now come up, and me one eyewitness where me look straight stop, mobile you shoot out them car, me look stop, only shooting mem 5.1, and me stand up stop, pulling mem come out, me look stop, me one eyewitness lo this la, where me na mamas, where police commissioner me like him you look lo this la.
The Koki police post was opened early last year. Since then, the number of crimes, including bag snatching, has decreased dramatically. A formal complaint will be laid with the Police Internal Affairs Division tomorrow. Quinten Alomp, National MTV News.
The oil search baton concluded its journey in the Milne Bay province by travelling to the East Cape. Before visiting the eastern end of Milne Bay, the baton stopped by at Dogora Station where hundreds greeted the baton. EMTV scholar Sengi reports.
The oil search baton relay flew on the Defence Force chopper to the rugged, beautiful north coast of Milne Bay province for the community of Dogora, home of PNG's largest cathedral built in the 1930s. The team was met on the beach by a small crowd and a sing-sing group who proceeded to reenact the arrival of the first missionaries and the journey they took to create the mission. Winding its way next, the baton moved through grasslands before crossing over the river. The festivities continued as the baton moved through Dogora Station. Students lined the path, sing-sing groups accompanied the baton, as well as residents of Dogora. The Bishop of Dogora, Right Reverend Tansen Boga, received the baton and was escorted into the cathedral by the PNG Defence Force after a moving national anthem and pledge. The baton team then received a blessing from the bishop, who spoke of the beautiful journey the relay had done and was continuing to do, followed by the voices of the Dogora Community Choir singing group that resonated through the great building. Next up, a stopover at East Cape, the most eastern part of the country, where dancers took it to the water's edge. Then the baton was flown to Bo, where the road relay began back into Alatau. The oil search baton relay continues. Scholar Sengi, National EMTV News.
Well, Ramu Nickel Management, the developer of Ramu Nickel project in Madang, and the Madang Provincial Works Department signed a significant Memorandum of Understanding yesterday. The MOU is to strengthen working relationships in the maintenance of deteriorating roads and bridges along the madang-ramu highway. Ramu Nickel President Wang Jicheng signed on behalf of the company with Madang Provincial Works Manager Ferdinand Wakeri. The madang-ramu highway has been severely affected in recent months following heavy downpour. This has prompted Ramu Nickel and Works Department to work closely in ensuring that traffic and general public using the road are not affected. Well, we've got Trukai Sports coming next. Stay tuned for that.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. And in Rugby League, in over a season, Port Moresby turned up in numbers to witness the first doubleheader of the season at Murray Barracks. Chances of a finals appearance by the two Port Moresby franchise teams hung on the fringes. The Gulf Isapairs went down fighting in a narrow loss to the Goroka Lahanis, and the Rabaul Couriers suffered their second loss on the road at the hands of the Port Moresby Vipers.
Isapairs kicked off and opened the scoreline. An unsuccessful conversion set the Isapairs on a 4-point lead against Lahanis. Lahanis captain Gonzila Urakusia picked up a try to level the scoreline 4 points all. The boys from Goroka crossed the line twice through second rower Spyro Makaive and 5'8" Aumo Awute, and a successful conversion off the boot by Felix Tatsim, taking the scoreline for Lahanis up 14 points to 6. Before Isapairs hooker Gahuna Silas added 4 points to the board in a 10-14 scoreline by halftime. In the second half, Isapairs managed to secure yet another try but went down to the Lahanis 14 points to 16.
Basically, we should have had the 2 points in the bag today, but our handling errors cost us the game once again.
In the second match of the doubleheader, the Vipers' season hung on the line. A loss to the Couriers will end their chances of a finals appearance. Albert Patak, Samuel Hamari and Travis Waninara fell short of a try by a strong Vipers defense. Vipers winger William Aquila crossed the line in an opening on the right to register first points on the board with a successful conversion to lead the game 6-0. Richard Campbell also crossed the line for the Vipers to an 8-point lead, holding Couriers scoreless in the first half. Utilizing their speed on the wings, Couriers set Joe Tabutabu Jr. to secure a try and successful conversion, narrowing the margin to a 4-point lead for the Vipers. But weren't enough for the Couriers, going down 10 points to Vipers 14.
I think
performance of our boys today improved from the last week game, and I think we maintained a composure Lomi plan. We kept to the game plan Lomi plan. I think that.
In other matches, Mendi Moroks beat Simbu Lions 20 points to 18. Wagitumbe went down 12 points to 14 at the hands of Hella Wigman, and Hagen Eagles toppled Enga Mioks 30 points to 18. Scholar Sengi, National MTV Sports.
To NRL, the Cronulla Sharks have claimed a hugely impressive 10 points to 4 victory over competition heavyweights, the Sydney Roosters, on the back of an amazingly physical performance by their big front rowers. The Melbourne Storm never really needed to get out of second gear in disposing of an error-prone Penrith outfit 20 points to 0 at Pepper Stadium on Saturday night.
The Storm's missing fullback Billy Slater as he manages a shoulder injury, and also only got 60 minutes from the halfback Cooper Cronk, who went off with a suspected meniscus tear, with his side cruising at 20 points to 0 with a quarter of the match remaining. Slater's replacement Cameron Munster had a fine game, scoring a strong solo try and saving at least one on his own line.
Munster has scored for Melbourne.
It became 12-0 in the 16th minute, following Munster's solo effort, including a huge fend on Wallace. Seguiaro was denied in the 20th minute when Cold held in the act of trying to force his way over from dummy half. They capitalized through Green's second, the 5'8" able to stroll through a yawning gap in some ragged Penrith defence to make it 18 points to 0 at half-time.
What happened there for Penrith? They were short of numbers badly.
Needing a major reversal in the second half, Penrith got even worse, pushing passes and offloads and failing to complete their first 3 possessions after half-time. The Storm took 2 points after Jeremy Ledmore was penalised for a lifting tackle in the 47th minute. The match concluded with 20 points to 0 scoreline. The win consolidates Melbourne's top 4 billing, with the Panthers slip outside the top 8 at the halfway point of the season. In yesterday's match, the Sharks hit back brilliantly early in the second half through a deft offload by Robinson onto Luke Lewis. The attacking opponent was sparked by a half break to Jack Bird. Lewis was pushing through his support as always, and Robinson's late offload was timed to perfection.
It's a chance. Luke Lewis goes over to get his 100th. Yes. Luke Lewis gets his 100th try.
After conversion from in front, the Sharks had a 6-4 advantage with 35 minutes to play. Meanwhile, the Roosters were struggling to get the ball down the field. With the Sharks putting up brick wall in defence, Cronulla were rewarded with their relentless pressure with a Michael Gordon penalty goal in the 65th minute to give them a 4-point advantage. Sharks claimed an important 6-point advantage with a penalty from in front with just 2 minutes left to play. The Sharks sealing a more than deserved 6-point win in one of the most impressive performances by any team so far this year. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Judo Federation in PNG is making a comeback into the sporting fraternity after almost 2 years of absence. Development programs have been put into place and will be rolled out with help from the Oceania Judo Union and the International Judo Federation. MTV's Elijah Levet has this report.
With the plans that the Judo Federation in PNG has in place, they will be looking to get more people involved in the sport and carry the development programs into the schools.
But the thing is that we have not come that clear on the media. I think that to some extent was on our side. But for development purposes as well, so we left it to that until to come to a stage where we would like to get back on track. And now with the programs that we have in place, I think timing is appropriate at this time we come back to the media to tell the public of what's happening and where we're heading towards and what we hope to do.
The Oceania Judo Union has come on board to help roll out the development program. Papua New Guinea is the first country in the Pacific to go through this program.
This is actually the pioneer. Papua New Guinea is the pioneer for this stage of our project. So this is the first time we've supported a paid local coach in any country in the Pacific. And this, of course, will be used as a pilot for the project in the rest of the region. we think we've made a very good choice, and we've got a very great faith in this aspect of our project. So we'll be following with a great deal of interest to see how it goes.
The aim of the development program is to build up capacity and get more people involved in the sport.
Our case now with the development program is building up capacity, and just like few other sports are doing, we are aiming that by the end of 2017 or 2019 at the earliest, at least stage one of these events with the facilities that we have here, which is built for the purpose. So that's one of the aims.
PNG Judo Federation will be introducing the VIPs from the International Judo Federation and the Oceania Judo Union. They will be joined by elite PNG Judo athletes who will be showcasing explosive judo demonstrations at the University of Papua New Guinea. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The Pacific Games baton has finally ended its tour of Milne Bay Province and will now travel to the Gulf Province tomorrow. EMTV Shane Sarua brings you highlights of the baton's tour around the province, ending with a visit to the most eastern tip of Milne Bay.
Arrived in Alatau, and after a small stop at Bukbilong Pikinini, the Alatau town relay began. The baton flew to Trobriand Islands and spent the day at Kiriwina, where thousands of children dressed in traditional bilas greeted the team and ran with the baton through villages and schools. Roads were decorated with bilas and yam huts, and the relay team witnessed the famous yam ceremony. The baton then did some island hopping from the islands of Goodenough, Dobu, Nomenbi, and Ferguson by helicopter and Ipoi canoe. At Epepua, the team danced with the community. The baton then traveled to the Dede Hot Springs before heading to the mission station of Sidia, where it was run by the nuns and school children before heading to the beautiful but almost deserted island of Samurai. Last Friday, the relay team flew to the north coast of the province, to the community of Dogura, where thousands turned out to showcase their town, history, and the largest cathedral in PNG. Here, the baton and Team PNG were blessed by the Bishop of Dogura, before heading off to the most eastern part of the country, East Cape. A relay along the coast through Bo, the village of Divinai, and back into Alatau completed the provincial journey. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And that's a real conclusion of tonight's EMTV's True Guy Sports. Coming up after the break, the weather details. Stay tuned.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Quick look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in southern region, Port Moresby and Karama. Fine tonight, sunny tomorrow. In Momase, all centres mostly fine. In the New Guinea Islands, showers expected in Kimbe and Kokopo. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres mostly fine, then early morning fog. Well, before we wrap things up completely at National EMTV News tonight, while thousands around the country attended their normal Sunday service, Kira Beck Lutheran Church at Gerihu Stage 2 here in the nation's capital observed the day with a number of church activities that was somewhat interesting and memorable to the congregation. The church, with over 100 people, turned out to witness the wedding of a fellow Christian couple who decided to tie the knot after 15 years of friendship. The couple, who hails from Pangia in Southern Highlands Province, decided to wed in the church as a symbol of their commitment to God and, most importantly, their faith. Their 8-year-old son was among a total of 12 children who went through a baptism ceremony after the couple's wedding. Over 80 children have been baptized so far, and Pastor Noan Cholai believes there's more to come. A recap of our main stories before we go tonight. Another fire in Port Moresby destroys a storeroom. Also, landowners place symbolic plants at Lihir Mine Site, and hundreds ride bicycles to celebrate Queen's birthday. Well, that ends the news, sports and weather tonight. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.